on Saturday, March 3, 2007, at the Frank Irwin Center in Austin, Texas. The Rockwall High School Lady Jackets basketball team put the finishing touches on one of the most magical stories in Rockwall sports history. It is a story of hard work and dedication, of amazing comebacks and overwhelming determination, and a story that rewrote the history of ladies high school basketball in Texas.
Tonight's game will be played between two of the top high school basketball teams in the United States of America. Cypress Fairbanks is 39 wins with 0 losses, ranked number 5 in the nation. And Rockwall, 39 wins and 0 losses, ranked number 3 in the nation. Only twice before has a team in any classification finished the season 40 wins and 0 losses in Texas. Tonight, spectators and fans, we will witness history in the making.
Our story begins in the fall of 2005 with the opening of the 2005-2006 season. Though short on experience, this young team came in with amazing talent and basketball ability. After posting a remarkable 37-3 regular season and playoff record, the Jackets would travel to the state finals in Austin to face a more experienced Plano West team. The Wolves overcame a 5-point halftime deficit, managing to wear down the Lady Jackets in the second half, and ultimately taking the championship game by a 54-47 score, ending the upstart Jackets' title hopes. The loss was devastating.
I remember being on the free throw line as one of the girls from Plano West was shooting, and I looked at Lauren Dwyer and I knew she was upset, and I tried everything I had to hold back the tears because I knew that that game was out of our hands and that we weren't going to be able to win.
When you get to that last game, it's very final. You're gonna leave a champion, or you're gonna leave with a silver medal. I know the girls and certainly our staff was devastated.
All I could think of once that game ended is that I never want to feel this again.
The loss in Austin left an indelible mark on this spirited group of athletes. They returned for the 06-07 season with a renewed sense of purpose.
It was a different feel for sure, because we had been to Austin, we had a taste of that and a taste of the state championship, and now these girls were ready to take the next step.
All of our mentalities changed and we knew we had to do more. We had to start playing as soon as we got back to Rockwall. There wasn't any time to take off. We knew that somewhere out there somebody's working, and we have to make sure that we were the hardest working team in the state.
Our theme that year was 212, which meant it was the extra degree. At 211 degrees, water is hot, and at 212 degrees, it boils. So we said we just needed that one extra degree to make it over that hump and to win the state championship.
The hard-working Jackets season quickly came to a boil as they amassed an impressive 14-0 record against district teams. During that run, they outscored their opponents by an average of nearly 35 points per game. Coach McDill and her staff were fortunate to have a host of returning players from the 06 team. Haley Day, Genevieve Campbell, Shelby Adamson, Lindsay Wack, Meredith Gordon, and Kiara Slayton provided the senior leadership. They were amply supported by juniors Sunny Sattery and Samantha Shaw.
We all had different strengths, different weaknesses, but somebody picked up for somebody. Whether Sam played great defense, Shelby was a great point guard, Haley was a great overall scorer, Kiara was 6'3". We were always there for each other, and that was the great part about that team. We were each other's family.
So the personality was just, we want to work hard, we want to get better, we want to win this thing, and that was just the expectations. Those were the expectations from the start.
With a perfect regular and tournament season behind them, the team set its sights on the playoffs. It became apparent that winning state would require something few teams have accomplished in high school basketball history: an undefeated season.
I remember as a coaching staff at Christmas, we thought we're fixing to have to run the table at this point, and that we knew that that was going to be a hard thing to do, a daunting task.
And especially once you hit the playoffs, and you hit the playoffs and you're 33-0, and you realize for us to win a state championship, we're going to have to be undefeated.
And as the playoffs neared, Coach McDill found creative ways to inspire the team.
So as we entered those playoffs 33-0, I read the girls a story out of a book I'd read, and it was about a little boy who grew up in Lexington, Kentucky. And as a little boy, he wanted to hang out with his friends and be around them all the time. But he didn't have enough money to buy a bike, and they all had bikes. So he decided to go work at a store, and he got a job, and it took him a year to save up to buy a bike. And that was the proudest day of his life, when he could buy this bike, and he had his own bike, and he could keep up with his friends. Then about a week later, he went outside to find his bike, and it was gone. And he couldn't believe it, and searched for the bike, and somebody had stolen it. A couple of years later, he got into boxing, and every single time he would go to fight, he would look across the ring at the guy he was going to fight and think, that's the guy that stole my bike. And then he would go out and just fight with all of his heart and passion. And that ended up being a story about Muhammad Ali. So I told the girls that story and said, we've got to get our bike back. We've got to get our bike. Last year, somebody took our bike from us. It was ours. We worked for it, we earned it, but somebody took it from us. And now it's time for us to go out and get that bike back. But anybody we play, they're capable of taking that from us.
The Mighty Jackets rode their momentum into the playoffs, coasting past Wiley, Longview, North Mesquite, Conroe, Bryan, and Mansfield Summit. They were on their way to a date with destiny. Only Houston Cypress Fairbanks, also undefeated, stood between the Lady Jackets and a championship. Saturday, March 3rd, 2007. Game day. The day of reckoning. It was finally time to do what they had come to Austin to do. The game would be a classic.
These ladies in the stands said, Coach, is this going to be a good game? I mean, it's two undefeated teams. And I said, I think y'all are fixing to see a show.
And what I said to the girls before that game was, I already see all of you as champions. You are already champions. You've earned this. I just want the rest of the state of Texas to see you as champions too. I told them, let's go get our bike back.
In the biggest matchup in state history, the game lived up to the pregame buildup.
Genevieve Campbell. Genevieve got it underneath Kiara Slate.
And that's a good sign right there for Rockwall because
Like a heavyweight championship bout, the teams exchanged blows throughout the game, with neither team gaining the clear advantage. In a hard-fought first half, the Lady Jackets went to the locker room at halftime, trailing 28-25. Cypress Fair came out hot in the opening minutes of the third quarter. But the Lady Jackets battled back. As the quarter was winding down, Genevieve Campbell hit a three-pointer with 34 seconds remaining to tie the score at 37. After an errant pass by Cy Fair, Haley Day hit a jumper from the foul line and drew the personal foul. The free throw was good, and the Jackets closed the quarter up by 3. By the fourth quarter, it was obvious that this would be a fight to the finish. Trailing by 3 with 1:38 remaining in regulation, Genevieve Campbell stepped up again, sinking her fourth three-pointer, tying the score at 48. With an opportunity to win the game in the final seconds, Haley Day drove to the basket, but Shanae Ogumake blocked her shot, forcing the game into overtime. During the timeout before the overtime began, Coach McDill brought the game into perspective for the game-weary Jackets.
As everybody's heading to the bench and we're going into overtime, you say this is a 4-minute game. This is a 4-minute game for the 5A state championship, for us to be remembered forever. We get 4 minutes to prove that it needs to be us.
The Jackets' Haley Day opened the extra period with a three-pointer and a jumper from the lane to boost the Jackets to a 53-52 lead. With 23 seconds to play in overtime, Day made the biggest defensive play of the game, drawing a critical fifth foul on Cy-Fair's 6'2" Nneka Ogumake. Sonny Sattery sunk 2 free throws, and Ogumake went to the bench for the final 2 possessions. As the final seconds ticked off the clock in Austin, this team left no doubt they had topped the 212-degree mark. They had taken back their bike.
And as that buzzer went off, everybody stormed onto the court, ran out there. Lindsey Wack picked me up and spun me around, and everybody then started crying, but this time they were tears of joy. And so it was just an amazing feeling.
I remember thinking at the time that I don't know if we know today how special that season really was.
We stuck to what we wanted, we worked hard, and we reached our goal.
So the closing chapter of this magical season had come to an end. Besides a remarkable state championship season, this team learned some important lessons along the way. They proved that hard work and dedication pay off, and that commitment and sacrifice can produce the ultimate reward. They developed a bond with their teammates, a respect from their community, and established a tradition of basketball excellence in Rockwall. They got their bike back. This 2007 Lady Yellow Jacket basketball team will not be forgotten in Rockwall sports history.
We all wanted the one goal, and that was to win. We set everything aside and we came together at the end of the day, and we succeeded at that.